Welcome to On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people. Today we will be talking to Steve Campbell as part of our series on strength and conditioning. As always, if you'd like to reach me, you can follow me on Instagram, Matt Lucas Muay Thai, or email me at matt.lucas@gmail.com. I always reply to people's messages. Thanks to everyone that has supported me so far, sharing the podcast or leaving reviews, anything. If you'd like to leave a review, you can do so on the iTunes store. It would be super helpful. Always appreciate feedback, especially constructive criticism. I am coming out with another Muay Thai and marketing online seminar this Saturday, August 27th at 7 p.m. Thai time. If you're interested, hit me up via DM on Instagram, or you can reach out to me via email. It is $75. It's a 90-minute seminar that goes over sponsorships, how to gain an audience, how to authentically market yourself. I think this is a much needed seminar for fighters, gym owners, and people in the industry, because if we're not marketing ourselves correctly, we're not growing as a sport. And I am definitely interested in seeing the sport grow. I'm interested in seeing the people that listen to my show grow. So hit me up if you are interested in it. Thanks, as always, to Patrick Rivera for helping me get this show started. So a little bit about Steve. He has been working with some elite level athletes, as we will hear in the show, specifically a lot of the Bad Company guys. So Jordan Watson, Andy Housen, Liam Harrison. And he was out here in Bangkok preparing Liam for his upcoming bout against Nongo Gayangada, who is the current one championship title holder. So big fight for Liam, and it's really great to hear from Steve and get a little bit of a peek at Liam's conditioning and what it is like building a fighter. So without further ado, the interview with Steve Campbell. Thank you so much for coming and meeting me here today, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Matt, yeah, so you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have big things going on this week that we'll get into. But why don't we get a little bit of background on you? You talked a little bit off air how you started as a professional rugby player and then moved into strength and conditioning, correct?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. My background's a professional rugby league player. Some people might know that or might know rugby union, but professional sports player. And I started that when I was 11 years old, and I went professional at 16. And then
Very young.
Yeah, they do. That sort of that game, that sport, they take you on. They're doing it even younger now. They're starting to sign people at 13 years old, which
Oh wow.
I think that's wrong, because I've seen it a lot of times. You've seen it in Muay Thai as well. You can see someone develop at 11 or 12, 13 and think, wow, they're going to be the next big thing. Get to 16 and they haven't got any taller, they haven't got any stronger, they've lost whatever, something's happened at home. So anything can happen when they're a teenager. So I don't think they should, in sport, they shouldn't be looking at signing people on until at least 16 year old, maybe even 18. So
Yeah.
I think then you know the person that they are, they're developed, and then you can work on the skills from there.
And what, just looking at the rugby professional side, how long is that career? What time do people peak?
In rugby league on union, you get forwards and backs, and the backs seem to peak early and the forwards seem to peak a bit later, because a forwards game is a bit more heavier and you're in the middle just piling up, taking that ball in and just making the yards, where at the back you're a lot more agile, a lot more faster, a lot more fitter. Well, I won't say fitter, but a lot more faster. So as you get older, you tend to lose speed, but that doesn't really matter if you're a forward, because in the forward it's all about strength. So yeah, in sports, and I should imagine same as football, if you're a striker, you need to have that agility, that mobility, that speed, that reaction. And as you get older, you lose that. You start, that's just age. Same happens with snooker players. That's why as snooker players get older, they start to miss shots, and that's just because of the eye coordination, and things just they just can't see that long distance shot anymore. So.
But I guess in terms of an age range, when are people sort of peaking? You said that the fronts and backs peak a little different.
I'd say peaking like for the forwards between 30 and onwards, 30 to 34 is the peaking then. Backs from a young age, 20 to 28, you know, you can peak around that time.
So somewhat similar to Muay Thai. I mean, you know, we'll talk about Liam a bit, but, you know, most athletes in combat sports are peaking in, you know, their early 30s. You know, you can push it into late 30s if you're well conditioned.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that going into the conditioning and the strengthening, I think that's helping people peak even more, or stay at a peaked level. You know, staying at a level that's they can stay at, and so they can perform at a high level.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So can you talk a little bit about sort of your background in strength and conditioning? Obviously, I assume you were lifting weights or doing something when you were playing rugby.
So when we played rugby league, because it's a professional sport, they always have in the back of the mind that what do you do after playing sport? Like with any sport, what do you do after boxing, Muay Thai? What do you do? All you've done all your life is play that sport, and you haven't got any qualifications because I left from school. So while I played, they always put you on the club I was at always put you on courses. So I did strength conditioning courses, I did nutrition, I did a sports massage course, I did a sports science course. So I did all that in my 10 years of being a rugby league player.
So you exited the sport when you were about mid-20s?
Yeah, I exited the sport at like 26, down to family reasons and things like that, you know. And then when you leave a sport after doing it for so long, your mind's just boggled. You don't know what direction to go in. Every day you know what to do. Every day you're getting up, whether you're getting a train there or whatever, you're driving there, you're having your breakfast, you're training midday. Like you've got a routine. And then at the end of the day, your contract's gone, and then you wake up one day and you go, right, I'm not a rugby league player anymore. I'm Steve Campbell. What shall I do? And you're just like, wow, I didn't have a clue what to do. And my mum and dad just sat me down and they said, look, what do you love doing? I went, training. And they went, well, you've got all your courses and that, like, why don't you just get into it? So I set up doing like little boot camps on the field, and I thought, right, I'm going to smash it tonight, and 2 people turned up. I charged £5, so I got £10 for that. I was like, wow, I can't live on this. Like, I can't just keep doing a boot camp with 2 people, and one of them was my mum. So
well, it's good that she came out to support.
And then I just build it up from there. And I kept doing like 2, and I didn't give in. And for a few weeks there were like 2 people, and then people were watching out of the windows. Like, I was on this field, just doing a boot camp, in fitness, running around, all that sort of stuff that you can do outside. And then there were like someone coming over. Can I join in next week? Yeah, come next week. And then I built it up to like 20 people there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, in the space of like 4 months.
Oh yeah, that's not bad.
And then I went, right, let's just say, I think it was on a Tuesday, I said, right, does anyone want to do a second one? So I said, yes, so I did it at the same field, and I did 2 that week, and then I moved to another area, and I started building them up. Then I started doing really well with boot camps, people coming in, and then someone one day just said, oh, do you do a one-to-one? Do you do personal training? And I was like, I can do, but I haven't really got a gym, I'll just do it outside. And they went, yeah, fine. And then that just took off, one-to-ones, and then I had to go find somewhere to work. And I started working out of a gym in Leeds called Mike Tobin's. Mike's been a fighter, and he's set up his gym. It's just, you know, he's had some good fighters come out of it, but it's just there for the community really. So Mike Tobin's gym in Leeds, and he's a great guy. And I approached him and he just said, you can use upstairs if you want. You know, there weren't really loads of equipment. So and it went from there, and then that went from there then.
And so when you started working at Mike Tobin's, that's when you were more exposed to the combat athletes and started working, I assume, with boxers or...
So while I was at Tobin's, I was still just training the general public. And they couldn't believe walking into a gym that just smelled of Thai oil. And, you know, the general public just like, wow, they're like, this is like, you know, it's a rundown place, like most gyms are, but you get the best sessions out of those gyms, I think. You know, when you see a bag and a bag's been hung up about 30 years, you know, and you can see gloves that are stinking, you know, it's like, yeah, people work hard in this gym. And that actually got people were coming to the gym where they were used to going to these fancy gyms, and they were just like, oh, I don't know, and they actually got more work done there and they were even saying like, we love coming here, I don't know what it is about this place, but it just brings something out of you where you just work hard. And then I was there, and then I was getting approached by fighters then. Oh, do you work at Mike Tobin's? And then I first started training Jordan Watson. And this is where the Muay Thai sort of like took off for me. Started training Jordan Watson. It was sort of like a family friend. And someone mentioned to him, you should train with Steve Campbell. He's at Tobin's. He went, oh, is it? I'll give it a go. And it took ages for him to really approach me and me approach him, because again, back 10 years ago, it was hard for people to think outside the box of like, no, I've got a coach, Richard Smith, and we go to Bad Company Gym, and I do bags in the morning, and I go running, and I blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, but mate, there's so much more you can do to improve yourself as a fighter, like your strength, conditioning, your mobility, your mind, your fitness, your whatever. And he was like, oh, I'll give it a go. Wow, I give it a go, and then we just smashed it from there. So that was 10 years ago. We had a couple of fight camps together, and then obviously down at Bad Company Gym, they all trained together, and then Liam approached me, and then from there, me and Liam have never looked back.
And so how long, so you started with Jordan maybe 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you said? And that was sort of when he was at his most active as well. 'Cause he sort of stopped. He recently had that fight.
Oh yeah, that's when he was most active. Like Yokkao, UK number one, Yokkao number one champion, and he had a really good run. He was beating people left, right, centre. Yeah, that's when he was at. That was when it was the top of his game.
And what was developing the program for him like, or what exactly were you doing? Because I mean, it was sort of, I assume, sort of new for you and new for him.
Yeah.
How
so
did you?
What I actually did was going into what you've got to do. I think this is what you should do with any sport. You should look into the sport.
Yeah.
But some people don't. And I know we've just spoke about like people online and social media. They just do strength conditioning. Strength conditioning is different for everyone, depending on the sport, you know. And you've got to look at, like, if a swimmer, what does a swimmer do? He's getting that anterior reach of his shoulder, and then he's driving back from his lat. You know, his core's got to be solid while his feet are moving up and down. So he's got loads of movements that's happening there. So then you're training totally different to a Muay Thai fighter. But there's people out there that don't. They just go, oh, let's just do this, because, you know, they don't really understand. So yeah, when I started training Jordan Watson, I thought, right, I need to start watching some fights, you know, and I found that, you know, when you throw your kick and people catch that kick, you stood on one leg. And when you stood on one leg, you've got glute activity. And if your glute's not firing, if your glute's not fired or kick or working, or your hamstrings are weak, they're gonna fall you over. One thing Jordan had was great balance, and it used to feel like kick, and it could just stand there for it all day. Where you might see it in some fights where people start to hop on one leg.
Yeah.
That's because they've got no balance, or they haven't got strength in that leg to hold. They should be able to hold that bump and just push back anyway with the same leg that's being caught, and that's what we work on. So I work on like hip flexor, glute activity, balance, and I looked at all that.
And did you develop a program out of it, or was it specifically tailored towards Jordan at the time?
Everything's specifically tailored towards an individual. I know some people do like a program, which is nothing. That's absolutely fine. Like I said before, I like to be different. So we start a fight camp, and first of all, I always sit down with them. How are you feeling? Have we got any? What's happened since last week? What have we got? What did we pick any niggles up in that last fight? So a fight camp's not just like, right, you're here, let's get straight into this. Because if something's not firing properly, then if I get you to do a big powerful lift on a weight or of a bar, and you've got some Achilles tendon or your ankle's stiff, or your elbow, you've got a bit of tendonitis in your elbow, then it's just going to hinder that even more and cause more things. So when fighters come now, they don't like it, because as a fighter, fighters just want to train hard.
Yeah.
Getting that mentality of like, look, you can train hard soon, but let's just. So I go over like a thing called FRC, which is functional range conditioning. So they'll come for the first couple of weeks, and all we do is mobility work, functional range conditioning work, and that's joint capsules. So if you think like you always stretch your muscles out, but we never actually try it. We never look at our joints, joints all over our body. But we always just build a muscle around that joint. So if that muscle's really strong, but that joint's weak, all that's going to happen is you're going to pull something or tear a tendon, or that joint capsule in there is you're going to get some sort of bursitis or tendonitis or something. So they come in and I'll say, right, let's look at everything. We'll go through all the ankle movements, the knees, the hips, and they do some really light mobility training. When they pass that, then I said, right, now we can train hard, and we'll move forward from there.
You sort of have that base level of fitness or base level of understanding of the body, and then okay, we can move on from there.
If anyone comes to me and they're massively like unfit, years ago I would have gone, right, yo, let's do this. I don't want to do 6 weeks of fat camp and 6 weeks of fight camp, you know. So it's down to them to get fit. And all right, when we start doing the specific strength conditioning, specific 3-minute rounds of whatever, because of round, you know, and I tailor it towards a fight, then that'll get them that fight fit anyway. But they've got to come with a natural sort of fitness. Most of them do, you know, because they've already got that in mind that they're fighting, and they've already been training and hitting pads. But yeah.
And you fought a little bit yourself. You did a boxing fight.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you incorporated strength and conditioning into that, and what that experience was like?
Yeah, that was great actually, because you know, obviously just being a sportsman and doing rugby and things like that, and then training Liam and Jordan and Andy Howson and all those fighters. For me to have my own fight camp, it was quite bizarre because I'm training myself, but I just made sure I went down to bad company all the time. What I took out of that is I understand you have to put a lot of effort into yourself in a fight camp, and fight camps are hard. And some people, you find yourself in a fight camp and you find who you are, because when you've got to give your time up, when you've got to travel somewhere, when I could have been doing PTs to earn money, and I'm like, no, I can't because I've got to go do this. So you're actually losing money to try and better yourself in that camp. It's hard. It's, you know, you might have bills to pay or this, and you might have girlfriend or kids, and they're like, oh no, I'm in a fight camp. I'm going to lose money in this fight. Most general fighters lose money because if they're not at that level, you know, it's hard to earn that money for them. And so yeah, I just put a lot more time into myself, and I did a lot of boxing sparring, and no better place to do it down at Bad Company Gym. I was getting knocked about all over down there, and I saw the improvements coming. First few weeks, black eyes, bust nose. Second few weeks, just a couple of little grazes, and then last few weeks hardly anything, and I was thinking, right, I'm getting better here, you know.
Oh, that's pretty good. And so you had the boxing fight. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think I was about 42. I might have been 36, something like that. And I said to Liam, I said, you know, you've got to experience. You've got to know the experiences and the feelings. And I didn't have that feeling of being a fighter. I just knew how to train fighters. But I wanted it. So, like the nerves, how does it feel in the changing rooms? How does it feel training when you've got to lose weight and you've got to make weight, but you've still got to try and keep fit and keep that strength and that sharpness when your body's telling you you're tired. Everything that's happening right now, to be honest with you, Liam. And you've got to keep that focus in mind and that why, you know. And I keep telling that to Liam now. Like, there's one word I just keep putting in his mind. And I just keep saying why. Yeah. Why? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why do you want it? Yeah. And then Liam went, well, do it then. Do a fight. I said, because I want that feeling in that change. So when I'm massaging him down, I know how he's sort of feeling. So yeah, I had a couple of fights just to get that experience for me, and just giving me a bit of knowledge of what a fighter feels like and how it feels going through. So now I can say to people, look, yeah, I've done a fight camp, and I'm doing it now with Liam. Basically, I'm losing the weight and I'm cutting everything. So it was just purely for experience and gaining a bit of knowledge.
What about that experience surprised you, that you were maybe you saw with other athletes, but then when you experienced it yourself, you were like, oh, this is a lot harder or easier, or this is a lot different than what I thought?
Yeah, the moods.
The mood.
Yeah, do you know when you see a fighter and he's at the back end of his fight camp, like Liam now, 1 week off, compared to 2 or 3 weeks ago, that bit more, that sort of laugh. He had that laugh in him, and now it's got serious. Yeah, now he's switched on. Everything is switched on right now. 1 week out, it's thinking about it all the time. And I didn't get that. I probably didn't get that, but I get it now, and I got it when I was training myself. Because like 1 week out, I was making weight, and I was. But the thing with me as well, and probably most Muay Thai fighters out there, they've probably still got to work. There could be a scaffolding, there could be labouring, and they've got to go to work while they're making weight, and while they're trying to think about a fight. That is so hard to do. When you get to the elite level, at least you've got that opportunity to be able to just concentrate on yourself. But if you've still got to work at the side of fighting, wow, that's extremely hard. And so I sort of understood that a lot more because I was still working and I was trying then focusing on that fight. So yeah, I understood that a lot more.
That's interesting, and can definitely see that. So you've worked with a few different athletes, Andy, Liam, Jordan. You said you tailor everything towards the athlete, but do you do like periodization at all? Because other coaches I've talked to have done that.
Yeah. So back in England in Leeds, there's a strength conditioning guy called Nat Robinson, and I'll mention his name because he's a good lad. And a few years ago, I went to go live in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, just to have an experience of working out there. And I was working with some people out there, and I only came back because of COVID, but I was going to sort of like try and make a go of it out there and set something up and all that. I had a bit of a dream. And COVID came and just kiboshed it. It kiboshed the dream. And I was doing pretty well out there, and I was starting to get a name, and people were training with me, and people were like, and it was going really well. And like I say, COVID came, kiboshed that. So while I went away, I thought I was going to be away. I sold my house and everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I did it. I did it. I did it full. I did it good. I didn't just go half-hearted. Sold my house, sold my car, said goodbye to my kids. But they came over to see me, and I was loving it. I was out there for a year and a half. So while I left, Liam goes, "You can't go. Wait, who's going to do all my training?" Yeah. So I sort of like had him in mind anyway. But I was looking around, and Liam went, "I'm going to go train with this guy," and I went, "No, train with a guy called Nat Robinson, young kid, up and coming." Very enthusiastic, knows what. So I messaged Nat, and then now them two work together. So obviously COVID, and I came back, and then once you might, I don't know if you go somewhere, and if it doesn't work out, people go, oh, you can come back. You don't go back. You don't go back. It's done. Yeah. I came back and I just sort of back into UK life again. So Liam goes, oh, come and train with you. We'll get it. And I went, look. You can work with both of us. Yeah. I'll do mine and he can do his and I think more and more now, it's good for fighters to experience working with different people. As long as you haven't got that jealous streak. Because people do not like he only works with me. I am this coach, I am that coach. But are they actually doing that for themselves, or are they doing that for the fighter? Because if you care about the fighter, you won't mind him going down there to train with someone for an hour if it improves him. You won't mind going over there to train him for an hour if it improves him. He's coming back to you and whatever. But some people don't like that, and it used to be quite a big thing in Muay Thai actually. I think.
Absolutely.
You only stayed with that coach. You only stayed in that gym. If you got found training or sparring somewhere else, I think you probably got kicked out the gym or whatever. You don't go down there again. That's your last warning. Like, why is that? But
but he started working with Nat a little bit, and Nat was doing more of the periodization, or you started moving into that? So
the periodization. So yeah, Nat does his thing, and I'll do my thing, and we do tailor it with it all. Some fighters come and go last minute. I've got a fight on. When you fighting? 2 weeks. What? Right. Well, look, we're not having a fight camp, and you've got to kibosh everything. The perfect sort of camp is a 12-week camp. 10 weeks at a decent is decent as well, but 12 weeks is perfect because I get to do what I like, what I'd like to put into a 12-week camp, which is that 2 weeks of mobilisation, light movement, looking at balance and coordination, and just giving them like a tick over, because getting them ready to train hard, putting the tension, putting all the joints and the tendons under quite a bit of tension, just by like movements, and then we can train hard. But if they don't, even if someone goes, oh, I've got 6 weeks, I've got to sort of miss that out. I've got to go straight into, right, I've got 6 weeks. How much do you weigh? Right, let's look at like this. You can't start lifting weights really, because if you do, you're only going to lift weights a few weeks. Because a few weeks, 4 weeks, getting closer to the fight, you lift heavy at the beginning of a periodization, and then as you start to tailor it down, weights go on and on. You get more powerful, you get stronger, you get fitter, and then as you're getting closer to the fight, your weights go. You might keep that bit of explosive movement in there, so you can work with some light weights, just doing some jumps and plyometric movements. Resistance bands come into play, I think, closer you get to a fight. So then you're still keeping a bit of tension and keeping those fast twitch muscles switched on. So there's always a periodization in a fight camp, but it always depends. I've not had one that's been the same for every. So like Liam, we've had a different camp every time he comes. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 6, and or you might turn up and go, I'm injured, but I still want to do something. So it's always different. But yeah, there's definitely like, you start here and you've got a goal to reach, and that's making weight and be as fit and as strong and as fast and as powerful as you can in 10 weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's turn things a little bit towards this specific fight camp. Obviously, you guys had a fair amount of notice about it.
Yeah.
12 weeks or more, right?
Yeah.
So how did you tailor things this fight camp, and how did it change from others?
Yeah, so it's been a really good fight camp, and like you said, we've had enough time. This one, because of the importance of the fight, obviously, to Liam, and everyone around him was working with him, it's been quite making sure that we're not 2 weeks in front. We're not pushing it where we should be pushing it, because in a fight camp, when you're training, you can burn out.
Yeah.
And that's where nutrition comes into play. But so making sure that, like, look, we had some sessions where it came and it was like wanting to fire it in. I was like, just ease off, mate, ease off. We've got 8 weeks left. We've got 9 weeks left. We're going to start picking it up. But he went, yeah, but I'm ready now. Bam, let's go. All you're going to do is burn out. Yeah. So if you can get as strong as you can get, so strong. But if you get strong like too early, you can't keep lifting those big lifts anyway. So you taper off after a few weeks, and then you try and pick it back up again, because you try and pick it back up at the point where you should be getting strong. So you just go, and then you feel a bit depleted, tired, and then all that sort of thing kicks into place. But yeah, we've had a really good camp. So we've got to do all the mobility work, all the agility work at the beginning. He's done all his lower body, upper body explosive workouts. Lifting heavy, peaking, getting stronger, getting all the resistance bands in, plyometric jumps, side lateral movements, and then we've just what I do is, I don't know if other people do this, but I make it fight. I make it like a fight. So he'll come in and I'll go, right, today we've got 5 3-minute rounds, and we'll say, right, and I'll just make a disgusting 3-minute round of like 100 meters on a ski erg, a couple of kettlebell swings, a box jump, an explosive throw on a wall with a ball, and then we've got to keep repeating that for 3 minutes. Just boom, just as many rounds as you can. 2-minute rest, we go again, and we change that up, because as you get closer, it's like a runner. You want to be looking at doing 10Ks or whatever, 10K runs, and then as you get closer to a fight, you don't want to do 10K runs. You want to be doing a 400 meter sprint, a 100 meter sprint 10 times, getting that sharp burst, like out of breath, go again, out of breath, go again, out of breath, go again. But at the beginning, it's just duration. It's just like building up that engine, really. And then as you get, imagine having a car that's got a nice engine on it, and you're building it up, and then you take it to a sports shop, and then you just let them put all the new little valves in, and you put an exhaust on, and you pimp the car out, and basically that's what strength conditioning is. They turn up, and it's a nice car model, and then you pimp it out for that 6 weeks, or 8 weeks, and 10 weeks, and you get that car running with that brake horsepower, that energy, that power, that putting that foot down, and so they've got that throttle. So that's what it is.
That makes sense. You mentioned a little bit about nutrition in there as well. And you did some courses while you were still in rugby about nutrition.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that ties into strength and conditioning?
Yeah, so I've got an A-level in nutrition diploma and sports science as well. So that's all incorporated into the nutrition side of things. And nutrition is, for me, the number one element what you look at first. So, and I know, like at sport, when people come into a fight camp, and you do all the agility and mobility stuff, but most people, if I get someone who's new, so because Liam understands it all now, but if I get someone who's new, I do sit down with them straight away and just go, right, do you know how many calories you're on? Do you know how many meals you want? Do you know what your macros should be? Your macros are your carbs, proteins and fats. Do you know how to work that out? And they just look at me like they just look like, what? I just want to train.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but you don't understand. So every kilogram of weight is us sitting here now. We're burning calories just sitting down. So every kilogram of weight is allowed 25 calories, right? So when I come to do a fight camp, I'll work out 60, 65, 66 kilos, Liam, 65.5. We'll work out how many calories he needs to get down to that weight, but also then how many calories does he burn while he's training? Because some people think, oh, I only need to eat 1,400 calories. No, you don't. You're training twice a day. So if you train twice a day, burning 1,000 calories, and you don't put all in, you're only left with 400 calories. You are depleted. Your body's you'll get injuries from that. You won't sleep good. You'll be moody. You'll be dehydrated. All this lot comes into place, and then they can't perform when they're training. I've had so many people not who train with me, and you might have heard it yourself. Oh, I was so tired in that camp. Well, they're doing something wrong. Yeah, you should be tired while you've trained, and maybe the hour after, because that's what training is all about. But the next morning you wake up, you should be feeling all right again, ready to go again, ready to do something totally different as well. Going into like all the sports training, what we're talking about, you should never just do the same thing all the time, because that just gets repetitive. That's why we always mix things up. So nutrition is key to anything, for any athlete, for any sport, and obviously you're looking into with Muay Thai. I think you've got to have a perfect balance with Muay Thai. You've got to have the carbs for the energy. You know, they want to keep strong, so they've got to have that protein in there, and then the fats are there just to, like, your body thrives on fats, and if you cut fats out your body, then you deplete yourself in a lot of ways. Going into, like, look, if you're a weightlifter competing in rugby league or in that sort of like that big sport environment, then you've got to look at like protein and keeping that weight on and bulking up. But with a Muay Thai athlete, if they're losing weight as well, if they've got to lose weight for a fight, they go, right, I'm just going to cut. Well, let's say at the beginning, I'll get a fighter come to me and just go, I'll say, right, write out your program for me, right. Just give me an idea of what you eat like, and I swear down, I've had some shocking menus. I was like, well, that would not work in a cafe, would it? So I've had some menus, and they're just like, yeah, I have 2 slices of toast in the morning, and then I'll have some jacket potato with something else, blah 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 blah. And I'll say, right, okay, you're having a lot of carbs there. Where's your protein? Where's your fats? And then the other is, well, they do it the other way around as well. People go, oh, I'm on that keto diet, and I'll just go, wow, right, why? Oh, I went, because are you a fighter, or are you are you just trying to get in shape? Because if you're a fighter, you need energy, and if you're on keto, you've got no energy whatsoever. But you might look good, take your t-shirt off, well done, you've got abs, but doesn't mean you're a great fighter if you've got a six-pack.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess more specifically, what is sort of the diet for Liam in this fight, and how is it different from others?
Every fight camp's the same with nutrition. You don't change anything, because he's got to make the same weight. So, and what's different for others is the food that you're allowed to eat. So, like, Liam realises that he can't have too much rice, believe it or not. Even though there's not much sugar in rice, there's no sugar in rice, but there's carbs. But if he has too much rice, he feels bloated. Where the Thais, wow, I would at the Young Cal Centre, well, been training down there, and they've been eating on the morning while we're there, and they pile rice on, pile it on. And Liam went, wow, mate, look at that. And I said, if we had that much rice, we'd blow up. So whether it's just your nationality, where you've come from, sort of like your origin of how you've been brought up, I think your body gets used to. Thais have been brought up on rice since they've been babies. We haven't. So if we put that into our bodies now, we'll just put about 2 stone on. So nutrition, but also food. Like food is. This is what you've got to. Food is different for everyone, and that's the hardest bit. Because I might have a great nutrition plan, give it to you, and you'll go, bloody hell, Steve, like, it's not working. Yeah. And I'll be like, eh. And then I'll realise, well, you know what? We shouldn't be having that sweet potato. We shouldn't be having that. That's probably holding weight, or that's reacting to you differently. We need to cut that out. So this is the hardest bit. It's like, you know, you can't just say, well, that's worked for Liam, so this will definitely work for you, because you might just go. It's like that experiment. If you put 10 people in a room all on the same nutrition plan, they'll all look totally different. Yeah. Why is that? Is it because of the food? No, it's because of the body and how the body reacts to it. So.
And has it been harder or different with the food out here versus out in the UK? Because, I mean, the diet out here in Thailand is way different than in the UK.
Well, I'm doing this with Liam right now. So like, we've been out here 2 weeks and I've lost a stone.
How much is a stone?
7 kilos.
Oh, that's a shitload of weight.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but there's reasons behind that. Number one, we're in another country where we're focused. We haven't got a fridge full of food. We haven't got cupboards full of food. There's nothing in our rooms. We don't buy anything in. So when we get bored, we don't bored, and you look around and you just don't know what to do. So you'll eat or drink. So there's all that come into place. But like you can eat really healthy here. But also, wow, you can. I haven't touched anything bad, but I'm coming back to Bangkok to eat badly, and I'm coming back to eat and drink right after this fight camp. But all we've been having here is the morning glory, the minced meat, little bit of rice. Leaving what we've been doing every day is looking at each other and saying, be in control. So we leave a little bit of rice, even though we're hungry, just because we're in control of it, and having that mindset there. So you can eat really healthy, and I suppose you can do that in any, in back home in Leeds. You can eat healthy, but because we're here, we seem to be eating a lot healthier, more healthier here. But is that just because as you get closer, you get more focused? We haven't, like you said, we're not at home. No one's cooking for us. No one's bringing it to us, and all that sort of thing comes into play. So if you want to take yourself out of your comfort zone, I think you've got to sort of like do this. I think you've got to take yourself away from your normal sort of routine, and that'll help you make weight better. Because if you've got your mates around you phoning you up, do you want to go? We're off out. Do you want to come? Or cinema this week? And you just look. There's always some over here. All we're doing is training back to the room, train back to the room, eat, train back to the room. So routine. Actually, that's a great word. Routine consistency is key in anything in life, but also in your fitness and in your nutrition. Bam, bam, bam.
And I guess moving back a little bit to some of the athletes you worked with, you also worked with Amber Kitchen.
Yeah.
What was that like? And, you said you worked with Jordan and Andy and Liam. Is there a difference between ages and, genders and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, definitely a difference between gender, with what sort of weights they can lift. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that they can't do that weight, that lift. They do the lift, they just do it to what their bodies are capable of. But Amber were great to work with. I've only done a few sessions with her. I'd like to work with a lot more. But what I do with Amber is we keep in touch online, because obviously she's like 6 hours away from White, so she comes up to Leeds sometimes. So she lives like 6 hours away.
That's quite far.
Yeah. So, and I just did a seminar at her gym before I came away, and we keep in touch online. She asked me about training, what to look like. She's kept in touch with me now. She's in Singapore. She's telling me about her weight and what it is and what we've got to do. What shall I eat while I'm here? So I'm going to catch up with her when I get to Singapore. And I just said, look, for your last week, I'll help you. I'll help you get your weight down while I'm there. Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep to it. But Amber were very agile, very fit. And when she turned up, she was focused. So yeah, I had some good sessions with her.
Yeah. And you said you did a seminar at Touchstone Gym recently. What was that like, and What did you do?
Yeah, touch gloves. I went down to.
Touch gloves.
I was down in Newquay, down that way. So she lives. It's like 6 hours away down south from London, further down from there. So I did a seminar for the my new website that's just come out, the Midas Wellness, and yeah, the website was based on the 4 elements of what the Midas is built on. So the Midas is built on nutrition, movement, which is the first 2 that I spoke about before you do in a fight camp. Then your exercise, and then your mind. And anything in life, if you put those 4 things together, you know you're in the right direction. But if you're a fighter, you definitely want those 4 elements: nutrition, movement, exercise, and mind. You want those 4 elements. So went down, did a seminar, 2 hours. But me being me, I'm passionate. I did 2.5. It just went over, but I was loving it. And I did a big talk on nutrition, how to make weight. Well, it's not even about how to make weight. You'll make weight once you cut your calories down. It's quite straightforward, really. Less calories, more output, you know, and that's how you make weight. It's all about the sugar and the salt content in your body. So you've got to really, like me and Liam now, we're cutting the carbs out now, which is we're cutting the salt out, we're cutting the sugar out, and we're just going to go onto that protein and vegetable diet. So yeah, did a 30-minute thing on nutrition, movement, exercise, and at the end I did loads of breathing techniques because while you're training, or there's loads of anxiety kicks in and manifesting your thoughts, and sometimes your head just float away. So I did loads of like little breathing techniques just to get people back into the zone. There's a breath called Breath of Fire, which is just have you heard of it?
Yeah. It's like a bunch of sharp exhales, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just going in and out, really forcing energy in and forcing it out, forcing it in, forcing it out with the inhale of the nasal and exhale of the nasal, and they actually use that in like. So I've been told in like SES in the armed forces just before they're going into battle because it picks you up. It does really give you that bam. If anyone's feeling tired, give it a go. Like if anyone's in an office and they're just tired or they're going into a training session, they're sat in the car, they should just sit in the car and for a minute just do some breath of fire work, and it just pumps oxygen into your body and it just lifts you up.
And can we talk a little bit about the new site and what is going on with it? It's launching in about a month.
No, so it's actually gone live. It's gonna go live on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time this comes out, it'll be
live.
Yeah.
It'll be live now, guys. So it's the Midas.co.uk, and jump on there. There's lots of free advice on there, but also when you remember, you get to unlock all the little videos and all the things that are on it. And it's built on the 4 pillars, like I said, nutrition, and I go through. We've got a nutritionist on site. Even though I'm a nutritionist, like what I was speaking to you about before, like you've got to know where your place is in life sometimes. And there's people that know more about nutrition than me. There's people that know more about whatever than me, you know. So we've got a nutritionist on site who's anti-doping, sport exercise. She's got graduates thing against the name, and so she's got honours, bachelor honours, and she's an on-site nutritionist. So anyone who's on the site gets 20% off straight away. So and with nutrition, you don't have to, just because she's in England, you can do things. You can talk to her, and she can help you out there and then. Because like I said, we're going back to the food. You might have an allergy, you might have this, you might have that. So that gets a little bit more out of my depth. Loads of videos on carbs, proteins and fats. We've got recipes on there, what I cook, how I cook. I've got a food table, what I've made up, what foods to try and follow in a normal day life. And then we've got recipes on there off that food which look really good, like leftover chicken wrap. Instead of keep that chicken, blah blah blah, make it all the next day. Movement, going into that FRC stuff that I talked about, functional range conditioning. I do all the loads of little movements on there. I've got exercises on there for beginners, and this is for anyone really. It doesn't have to be a fighter, but beginner, intermediate, advanced. Loads of strength conditioning workouts, things that I've done with Liam, and then I've got somebody on there who's a yoga teacher and doing loads of yoga exercises, and so it's a wellness website really, which is for everyone to join in with.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and it seems like that model of having sort of online schools is really growing a lot.
Yeah.
Was that, you saw Liam or you saw other people in the fitness industry doing it and then you picked it up?
The Midas, the name the Midas, I've had that dream for like ages in my mind. Like I've always wanted to do a website where I offer the 4 pillars. So in any camp, I'll do the 4 pillars in any camp, whether it's 6 or 8, I'll try and condense it all in. But I'm always putting the 4 pillars together. And whoever comes to me, so I try and do a little bit of coaching now as well with lifestyle coaching, and I'll put that 4 pillars straight into place. Because I just think those 4 pillars are what hold you up and just keep you strong. Nutrition, movement, exercise, and mind. If you stick to them and improve yourself on them 1% every single day, on each different ones, you're gonna improve yourself no matter what in life. So yeah, and then during lockdown, I wish I'd have had it then and then. So I'm probably a year or so too late at the minute, but I wish I'd have had it there and then, because whoever set up something in lockdown, wow, they're kicking it, they're smashing it. But I'm hoping to do something different, and there will be a 50% discount code when it goes live, so it'll probably still be live while this goes out. So, yeah.
And then just sort of wrapping things up, can we talk a little bit about some of the specific things that are going on with you this coming week? Because you've mentioned it a bit before. You're fasting right now with Liam. What's the schedule for the weekend going into this big fight against Nongo?
Stop looking at videos of food and all we've been doing last night, me and Liam last night, because we're in separate rooms, is sending videos and clips and someone making stuff. Yeah. I was like, wow. So look, it's the last week of the biggest fight of his career, and we want him to stay focused but relaxed. So, we're getting out and about. We're tailoring down now. We had his last session the other day at Yokkao. We've had a real hard 2 weeks here. Back home we was training well, but over here the heat, hitting the pads in that heat, sweating, dehydration, hydration. So we've had a really, really hard 2 weeks. We're tapering it off now. He's fast, he's fit, he's strong, he's focused. It's the best I've seen him. I'm super, super excited. Something special is going to happen. And now it's all about, this is the hardest bit, not doing anything now. Not saying, oh, should we go do something else? Should we just go hit? No, mate. All right, when we get fly to Singapore, he's going to hit some pads on the morning and just tick over, and he's making weight. We've got a couple of kilos to lose while we're there. But the hardest bit's been done. Or has it? Maybe now the hardest bit is keeping focused
and waiting
and focusing, and that weight, because he's ready right now. So yeah, keeping focused and keeping him relaxed, and I'll do a lot of massages. What we can do now, what you find is in a fight camp, the beginning bit you always sort of repeat near the end. So now I'll go back to a bit of agility, bit of movement, FRC, just loosening off his body, keeping him nice and relaxed. We might do a couple of like little explosive jumps, bum, just to keep everything fired, because you don't want things to go to sleep too much, but you want them just to stay there. So you don't want to work them, but you want to make sure that they're there. Just like on a car where you've got your revs up, the revs are up. You don't want them to drop too down. You might, what's the word?
Like,
stall the car.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You might stall the car, sort of thing. You just want those revs there. So we're keeping his revs there, and we're just making him sure that he's ready just to go boom when he wants to. So yeah, that's where we are right now.
Sounds good. I'm very excited for the fight. Wrapping things up, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
In life, in general, or what?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's
fight specific people.
Yeah, fight specific.
Look, anyone that's wanting to be a fighter or always enjoying fighting and loving fighting, at the end of the day, you've got to love what you do. It's hard work. Now, Liam got where he was before all this strength conditioning came about. So there's too many people, I think, watching too many things and going straight into strength conditioning, getting a boxing coach, getting a nutrition thing, and they've had 2 fights. Yeah, you need to build your skill and your craft around Muay Thai first. This goes in any sport. And once you've got your craft and you are the best that you are, but you haven't developed anything else, then go develop I'll call them motor skills. Go develop your other motor skills. But you get people going straight into a Muay Thai gym. I want to be a fighter, and I'm going to do some strength conditioning next week with so and so. And he comes in and he gets 5 coaches straight away. I was like, you've had one fight, mate. So anyone else wants to be a fighter, concentrate on you, making sure you've got a good coach, a good gym, good friends around you that understand that, you know, if you're really focused on Muay Thai, then you've got to change your life a little bit. You can't just be going out all the time on the piss and things like that. If you focus on that, and then develop your skill, and then move it into strength conditioning and other things. Because other people do it all the way around. They'll do loads of strength conditioning and then try and go to Muay Thai. You know, thinking, look at me, take my top off. Like spoke about, he's massive, he's ripped. And some people go, oh, he's going to be... How many fights have you watched where people go into the rings and they go, wow, I bet he's going to win. I bet he's going to win. And other little guy who's got nothing about him destroys him. Yeah. And that always happens. Just because you're big and you're strong and you've got an athletic body doesn't mean you're a good fighter. So look, concentrate on yourself, your fight game, and then improve yourself.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Steve. Can you just tell me the name of your website and where people can find you?
Yeah, so Instagram, the Midas Wellness, and the website is themidas.co.uk. So you can jump on that website. There's going to be a 50% code on there, but I'm going to put it on my Instagram page. Also, I've got an Instagram page called Stephen_PT_Coach Campbell. That's my personal page where I've got a lot of things going on there as well. So I've got 2 pages, that one and the Instagram for the Midas Wellness. So yeah, guys, give that a follow, and if you get in touch with me, and we can sort something out.
All right, thank you so much.
Cheers, Matt.
So that was a great interview with Steve. Definitely appreciate him taking his time out. Excited for his new Project Midas to come out. Also, really interesting to see how his career developed. I think one of the fantastic things for him was getting all that education when he was a professional rugby player. That is not something that is happening with Muay Thai at the moment, but is something that is desperately needed. The infrastructure of the sport just isn't really there for people after sport. And that is something that I am interested in changing. One of the reasons why I put so much of an emphasis on marketing, on developing skills. That way you can prolong your Muay Thai journey and your Muay Thai career. And you can see people like Steve doing a lot for Muay Thai by increasing the, capacity of elite level athletes like Liam, enabling him to fight longer, to fight stronger, to fight better. So really appreciate Steve coming on the show. Look forward to seeing more from him. Again, he has that Project Midas coming out. It will be live by the time this show comes out. So definitely go check it out. And again, if you are interested in growing your fan base, especially if you are a Muay Thai fighter, you want to grow your fan base, build sponsorships, get more fights, I'm teaching the media and marketing for Muay Thai fighters online seminar this Saturday, August 27th is $75. You can DM me for registration. This has been On Fighting in Thailand, the best news and analysis covering the economics and infrastructure of Muay Thai. I'm Matt Lucas, journalist, commentator, and ex-Muay Thai fighter. Make stronger fighters, make stronger people.